What's going on, guys? RBG back with another Marvel's Avengers update, and it hasn't been a full 24 hours since the second beta has opened and we already have new leaked characters. In the last video, we uncovered that She-Hulk, Kate Bishop, and War Machine could possibly be in the next wave of characters for Marvel's Avengers. There was a lot of assets that were found within the PS4 builds network data that highly corroborated these assumptions, and for the most part, I think it's a given that we will in fact see these characters sooner than later. And it looks like we'll be getting more heroes than we initially thought, so we're going to talk about it today. Now, before we jump into today's video, I want to give a huge shout out to today's sponsor, G2A. If you're looking for a way to purchase the hottest video games without burning a hole in your wallet, you should really consider checking them out. They offer key codes for different platforms such as Steam, PS Network, and Xbox for half the price of the original. So why wouldn't you want to take advantage of this deal? You absolutely lose if you overpay. So go ahead and seize the win. You can do so by clicking the link that will be provided in the description of this video. But as I was saying, my YouTube family, it looks like we may be seeing a slew of additional heroes make their way to Marvel's Avengers, and I could not be any more happier about this. I feel like once things start to pick up at this roster, we're going to be getting more people on board. Like, that seems to be the thing that's holding some fans back from getting this game. While I think the majority of fans are pretty much pleased with the core cast we've gotten so far, there may be those who are waiting for a specific Avengers member that'll have them completely sold. Like, I'm literally trying to wrap my mind around how huge this game is going to be once the hero count gets into double digits. On a surface level, it's already a huge game since it's going to be a AAA title that's offering a story-driven campaign and online multiplayer experience. But just thinking about the fact that these characters are being worked on in such a way that they feel like they deserve their own game has me going crazy, man. It's like Marvel Ultimate Alliance meets Marvel SpiderMan. You have this huge toy chest of iconic characters to play around with, accompanied by ambitious gameplay mechanics, and it's going to continue to expand for years to come. But anyways, as I was saying, War Machine, Kate Bishop, and She-Hulk were revealed in the first Data Mine, and while this was exciting news to some, others weren't so pleased. Because for the most part, these particular characters are essentially Echo Fighters. They share similar, if not the exact same functions as their respective counterparts, and some fans feels like this is lazy on the developers' part, and it gives a bad sign that these unique DLC characters that were promised to them may be nothing more than a pipe dream. Considering the fact that Crystal Dynamics has poured so much time and effort into getting these base team Avengers to function within this world they're setting up, they may not want to put the same energy into the future post-launch characters. Like, there are so many components that need to be right, from the different combat animations to the traversal mechanics that seem to be a pretty tricky thing in and of itself. Like, I'm still trying to figure out what specific tool Captain America is going to have to help him keep up with the other Avengers members. Characters like Iron Man and Thor have their flight capabilities, and Hulk and Ms. Marvel have their long leaps and swinging animations. Hell, Widow even has her grappling hook. But everyone's been wondering what Cap's traversal device is going to be. Is it going to be this Stark Tech motorcycle made completely of nano machines? Like, that's what the developers are going to have to figure out as they start rolling out these other crazy characters. And they're going to need to use pre-existing assets for characters who have similar functions. If anything, I feel like we need to have the occasional Echo Fighter every now and then, because whenever you jump into these Warzone and Drop Zone missions, chances are you may not get to play with a character like Iron Man, because someone else got first dibs. If I'm more comfortable with that specific character's playstyle, but he's not accessible, I still have the option to play with a similar Avengers member in the form of War Machine. The developers can obviously take the base components of Iron Man, such as his flight and pulsars, and change them in a way that makes War Machine feel different. At the end of the day, these characters are functions. They all have their own visual makeup, but their capabilities are what determine how fun they're going to play. And if the devs already have these functions at their disposal, then it can essentially save them time by taking those functions and using them to create similar characters. We wouldn't have to wait these long extended periods of time to receive a new hero, and we could get them a lot sooner, so yeah. But as I was saying, we have these 3 Echo Fighters who've been leaked, and now we have another leaker claiming to have found 3 more characters from the latest update for the Marvel's Avengers beta. Now, I just gotta get this one out first, and that's the mentioning of Peter Parker. A week ago, it was announced that Spider-Man would be swinging his way to the PS4 and 5 versions of Marvel's Avengers in the spring of 2021. If there's anything I can say about this, is that I am relatively surprised that Spider-Man has been found so early in the network code, because it'll be a while before we get to play with him. But since his name is in there, it leads me to believe that the developers have more than likely begun development on him. I remember back when it was announced on the PlayStation blog, they mentioned that the lead combat designer Vincent Napoli was hard at work making sure that Spidey fights and moves like he should. So there's no telling how far along they are with this guy. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we get an official announcement trailer for him shortly after this game is launched. Sony's obviously banking off of this character to get more people to buy their consoles, and he seems like he's going to be a major priority for the devs to work on. But moving on, the next character we have is Captain Marvel. One of the most interesting things about this character is that there were multiple clues that suggested that she'll not only be a playable character, she'll possibly serve a role in the main story. Her logo can be seen on Kamala Khan's shirt, not to mention that her picture can be seen on Kamala's wall, which is a clear indication that the developers have already created an actual model for her. So she's definitely going to be featured in some form or capacity, whether it be a playable character or an NPC. Given the fact that Captain Marvel is Kamala Khan's favorite hero, we can probably expect to see her in the actual story. Even though this character has garnered a lot of hate since her inclusion in the MCU, it's kind of hard to refute the fact that her film was a huge success and a Captain Marvel sequel is in the works. And according to multiple sources, she's going to be taking a more prominent role in the Marvel Universe as a whole. Another thing this character has going for her is that she isn't going to be your typical Echo fighter like the characters I mentioned earlier. Her, Spidey, and Hawkeye are going to more than likely feature entirely original movesets. And this further gives us an idea of the in-game plan Crystal Dynamics has. We could get a few Echo fighters and a few original characters that are built from the ground up. Now the last character we have is Black Panther, and this guy has been one of the most requested characters for the game. I mean, you can't go to any Marvel's Avengers related video without getting the "Where's Black Panther" comment, and many fans stated that they won't buy the game until he's included. He's another one of those characters who's generated mainstream popularity since he was introduced in the MCU, and I could be wrong, but I think he has the highest grossing solo debut film. For the most part, this character just seems like he'll fit in well within this game's world. He's another one of those characters who has a lot of things going for him in terms of weapons, and given the fact that Crystal seems to be borrowing heavily from the movies, he's going to exude coolness. I can imagine that he's going to be one of those elusive rushdown characters. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if this guy is one of the characters the developers use to figure out how to create other characters like Wolverine, because I already know his bread and butter is going to be his claw attacks. So Black Panther is going to be another one of those originally conceptualized characters that will bring a lot to the table. Now, I mentioned this in the previous video, and it's important to keep in mind that these characters' names were found in the form of something called hero cards. And as of the time of me making this video, there's still no information on what these things are, let alone what they do in the main game. So these may or may not refer to the characters as I mentioned as playable. I also gotta point out that there doesn't seem to be a consistent naming convention for all of these listed items. For example, Peter Parker is listed, but his hero name SpiderMan is not. Yet She-Hulk is listed, but her name Jennifer Walters is not. I'm not sure if that was a simple decision made by the developers or if they're implying something. Like, we could get completely unique playable characters, but many of these listings are similar to confirmed characters. Like, She-Hulk could be an alternate costume for the Hulk, just like War Machine could be an alternate Iron Man costume, and Kate Bishop could be an alternate Hawkeye costume. But I think these specific name placements allude to something even greater. And this harks back to what I said earlier about Echo Fighters being a good thing for Marvel's Avengers. There doesn't have to be one character that features pulsars or web swinging, there can be multiple characters with those mechanics. What I'm thinking is that the reason that the name Peter Parker is mentioned in the code and not Spider-Man is because the devs could possibly be planning to use more web slingers from the Spider-Verse. I know it's a stretch, but the game plan seems to be that the devs are going to make these unique characters, and then occasionally they'll repurpose some of those assets to create similar characters. For all we know, we could get Miles Morales somewhere down the road. I mean, Marvel already seems adamant about introducing the young Marvel champions that consist of characters like Kamala Khan, Miles Morales, and Totally Awesome Hulk, and this could be the way they bring them in. Just looking at the latest Marvel Spider-Man game, it seems like Insomniac Games is going to be following a similar strategy. They already have everything they need with things like the web swinging animations, so it's nothing for them to rework certain things for Miles to make him feel different from Peter Parker. Like, thinking about this puts my mind at ease for the future of this game. If this is Crystal's approach to making characters, we could receive them faster than we think. Anyways, let me know what you think about all of this. If you hated the idea of the game having Echo Fighters, has this video changed your opinion on them? And how do you feel about some of the other characters I mentioned like Captain Marvel and Black Panther? Let me know down in the comments below. As always, I ask you to like or dislike the video. It doesn't have to be a thumbs up, it can be a thumbs down. Any feedback is good feedback and will only help me improve on future videos. But if you really enjoyed the video, it would help your boy out tremendously if you shared it with all your friends and followers on social media. Sharing really makes a difference. But once again, this is your boy RBG signing out on another video. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.